So here we are. Democrats and Republicans will have ideas about what they like and what they don't like about our plan. That's a good thing. That's the American way. That's the way democracy works. Debate is welcome. Compromise is inevitable. Changes are certain. In the next few weeks, the Vice President and I will be meeting with Republicans and Democrats to hear from everyone. And we'll be listening. We'll be open to good ideas and good faith negotiations. But here's what we won't be open to. We will not be open to doing nothing. Inaction simply is not an option. Now, since I announced this plan, I've heard from my Republican friends say that many of them say it's too big. They say, why not focus on traditional infrastructure? Fix what we've already got, the roads and the highways that exist and the bridges. I'm happy to have that debate. But I want to tell you my view. We are America. We don't just fix for today. We build for tomorrow. 200 years ago, trains weren't traditional infrastructure either, until America made a choice to lay down tracks across the country. Highways weren't traditional infrastructure until we allowed ourselves to imagine that roads could connect our nation across state lines. The idea of infrastructure has always evolved to meet the aspirations of the American people and their needs. And it's evolving again today. We need to start seeing infrastructure through its effect on the lives of working people in America. What is the foundation today that they need to carve out their place in the middle class, to make it, to live, to go to work, to raise their families with dignity, to ensure that good jobs will be there for their kids, no matter who they are or what zip code they live in?
Mr. President, are you willing to go lower than the 28% corporate tax rate?
I'm willing to listen to that. I'm wide open to, but we got to pay for this. We got to pay. There's many other ways we can do it, but I'm willing to negotiate that. I've come forward with the best, most rational way, in my view, the fairest way to pay for it. But there are many other ways as well, and I'm open.
Will you have failed on your promise of bipartisanship if you don't get Republicans on board with this plan, your first plan passed along party lines?
Look, what I said was I would try to work with my friends on the other side. There are things we're working on together, some of which we passed and some we will pass. But the last plan, I laid out what was available, what I was suggesting, and how I deal with it. And a bipartisan group came to see me. And then the Republican group came to see me. And they started off at $600 billion, and that was it. If they'd come forward with a plan that did the bulk of it, it was $1.3 billion or $4 billion, 2 or 3, that allowed me to have pieces of all that was in there, I would have been prepared to compromise. But they didn't. They didn't move an inch. Not an inch. But for example, I am dealing with a bipartisan group that came to see me. Now it's about, 3-4 weeks ago when they came about computer chips and they said, look, we have to have our own supply. We have to work together. We're working on that. Chuck Schumer and I think McConnell are about to introduce a bill along those lines. So I'm prepared to work. I really am. But to automatically say that the only thing that's infrastructure is a highway, a bridge, or whatever, that's just not rational. It really isn't. I think the vast majority of Americans think everything from the sewer pipes to the sewer facilities to the water pipes, I think they're infrastructure. Anyway.
Biden wants to have a good faith negotiation with the Republicans. Now, how many of you think it will be possible to achieve that? Let me rephrase the question a little bit. How many of the 50 senators that the Republicans have are ready to come out in public and say President Biden won the election? You're not sure, isn't it? Why is that? How come we don't know how many senators are ready to accept the reality in public? If they are so bent on living in the reality that they have all created for their own party, how do you then expect them to have a good faith negotiation? Not really an option, is it? Yes, we all had a glimmer of hope that Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, or Mitt Romney will offer a chance to bridge the gap between the Democrats and the Republicans. But Biden just told us that they wanted to pass a $600 billion COVID relief bill, the exact same amount that McConnell thought was a good idea during that time. So, under their administration, the GOP passed trillion dollar after trillion dollars as COVID relief, the total which I think went past $5 trillion in 2020. And suddenly, as soon as Biden became the president, they wanted to not even get closer to trillion dollars. They wanted to spend only 600 billion. It's April now. Is COVID over? The last I checked, people were talking about the possibility of another surge. Thanks to the Biden administration's ability to put their heads down and get the work done, the United States is the only country that is vaccinating people in the order of 3 million per day. Not a single country in the world comes even remotely close to that pace. And yet, just a little over 30% of the country is vaccinated, and we still have a long way ahead of us. If that is the case in April, why did the GOP wanted Biden's COVID relief bill to be so small in January compared to the bills they passed? Their actions during the negotiation with the White House over the COVID relief bill offer the clearest evidence that even the so-called moderates within the party are moderates on paper but are only ready to listen to either Donald Trump and or Mitch McConnell. If that is the case, then why do they even bother talking to Biden? Are they doing it for TV? They have smartly turned the responsibility over Biden's shoulders to achieve bipartisanship. Is that his job? That's not his job, not with the kind of GOP he is dealing with. Senator Roy Blunt has already come out in public arguing that the infrastructure bill should spend only 30% of what Biden is proposing. Let me ask you this now. Are you sure if the Republican Party will offer its 50 votes if Biden agrees to reduce the cost of his infrastructure bill by 70%? Then they will talk about slashing the spending on Amtrak and moving it to something else. Let's say Biden agrees to that as well. Then they will say some other line item has to be moved to become some other line. And they will keep moving the goalpost over and over all the way to the midterms. That's exactly what Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley did while negotiating with Obama over the Affordable Care Act. He kept moving the goalposts for months and finally let the president know that his vote was never there for him. Biden is certainly not a fool to fall again for that. He already has first-hand experience dealing with the Republican obstructionism during Obama years. He does not have to take the my way or highway approach, but at the same time, he cannot trust the opposition to get things done because that part, the governing part, has already gone out of their DNA. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please do subscribe.